What is up, boys? This is Gnosis, and I'm back today with the Ultimate Intermediate Building Guide for Fortnite. I've made this as a direct add-on to my Ultimate Beginner's Guide, so if you're newer to the game and haven't checked that out yet, I would go through it first, and then come back here once you feel ready. For everyone else, let's get into it. In my last building guide, we learned how to do 90s, as they are the absolute fastest way to gain height in Fortnite. And while the 90s we learned last time are certainly effective, the one drawback to them is you will oftentimes find yourself bouncing off of your walls when you jump, which slows down your momentum. To counter this, there is another variation of the 90s that we can do in order to make sure we are completing them as fast as possible. This is what I like to call two-wall 90s, which, as the name implies, are where you will do your 90s with just two walls. Now, I won't lie, these can be very tricky to get down consistently when you first start learning. But the key is to turn your character a full 90 degrees before you place your two walls, and then look straight down when placing your floor and ramp. Before you even land on your ramp, you should already be rotating your character to repeat the same process. Once you do this 3 times, you can then ramp up a layer to reset jump fatigue, just like you do with normal 90s. Now, while you may be thinking there is no possible way we can make our 90s faster than what we've just learned, there actually is one more trick that we can add to really take this to the next level, and that is known as the infinite 90s. Learning these will eliminate the need to reset jump fatigue and allow us to continue to crank for height without ever losing momentum. To perform these, you are simply doing the OG 90s without jumping, but I promise it is not nearly as easy as it sounds. The key to do these consistently is to stay as far left on your ramp as you can, and look straight down when you place your floor and your ramp. Once you get down your infinite 90s, we can string together both of these techniques we just learned to do the fastest 90s imaginable. While it is very rare that you will need to crank super high in real games, getting these 90s down are key for 1v1 build fights, zone wars, and are generally just really fun to do. The next technique I would like to teach you guys is editing through floors and cones while ramping up. This is something I use in 90% of the matches I play in, and is one of the most important techniques that you can learn in Fortnite. This will be used when you need to climb for height without taking fire. To do this, you will first place your floor and cone simultaneously on top of your ramp, and then edit your floor using the 2 side tiles, starting with the tile closest to you. Afterwards, you can edit just the far corner tile of your cone. When you first begin learning this, I would recommend just using the floor and cone every other ramp like you see here. Keep practicing like this until you can do this at least 10 times without messing up. Once you can do this 10 times with no mistakes, you will know your muscle memory is building, and you can move on to using floors and cones on every ramp. Up next, we're going to take a look at a technique that I use variations of in literally every single game of Fortnite I play, and that is the elevated cone jump. In its most basic form, an elevated cone jump is where you're running up a ramp, place a cone at the top, and then jump out to one side and catch yourself with the floor. This can be very hard to get down at first, and really it all comes down to the position from which you jump. The most optimal way to perform this is to jump from about halfway up your ramp. While it may seem that this will not let you get high enough to catch yourself with the floor, because of Fortnite's phasing mechanic, you only need about 3/4 of your body above the floor when you place it, and you will get boosted upwards every single time. While simply doing an elevated cone jump on its own does not do much, it is all the variations of this that make it so effective. To start with the easiest variation, we want to do an elevated cone jump but place a wall in front of us along with our floor to block off an enemy shot. Once you get this down, you can use it in-game to get a shot off mid-air against an opponent, and then instantly catch yourself and block them from returning fire. From here, you can either do a peanut butter edit to get another shot off at them, or you can just ramp over them. Another option with elevated cone jumps is to jump outwards and do a scissor ramp after catching yourself. When doing this, you will want to jump at an angle to where your character is completely facing towards the same direction that you are jumping. If you get the angle right, you should be able to place the floor and then hold down the ramp button, causing a ramp to place both above and below your character. This is a great way to take height very quickly and can be a great way to catch your opponent off guard. The hardest elevated cone jump to get down, but also my favorite to use in-game, is to catch yourself on both a floor and a ramp like seen here. The key to get this down is the angle that you jump off your ramp. You will be wanting to look straight forward more or less when you jump, and then rotate your character mid-air while placing a floor and a ramp. If you are already looking too far to the side when you jump, you will find yourself landing under your ramp almost every time. Once you get this down, you have a number of options. The first is to simply crank 90s to regain high ground. Another option you have that I usually use when an enemy is only 1 or 2 levels above me is to do a 180 out of the ramp that you land on and then double ramp over your enemy to secure high ground and continue the fight from there. The possibilities are truly endless with elevated cone jumps, and while learning them may seem discouraging your first day or two, I promise that these will become second nature if you just keep practicing. The last thing I have for you guys today is one of the most requested techniques I see on YouTube, and that is the high ground retake. There are literally hundreds of different retakes with new variations constantly being created, but I just want to share 2 basic techniques in this video to get you guys started in the right direction. This first one is incredibly easy to learn and will be a great starting point to building up your own repertoire of retakes. To do this one, you will start by scissor ramping, and then you will need to extend your top with 1 ramp more than your bottom as seen here. Once you have done this, you will turn around and place a wall behind your top ramp, connect a second wall to the side, and then jump and place a ramp. At full speed, it will look like this. I love this retake so much because despite how easy it is to pull off, it is one of the more effective retakes that you can use in real competitive matches and not just in creative. It also uses significantly less materials than the flashy retakes, and the 180-degree change in direction almost always catches your opponent off guard. The other retake I have for you guys will begin with a ramp, and you will place both a floor and a cone at the top. Next, you will want to edit the side tiles of both the floor and the cone, and then place a ramp extending out from this cone. You will follow this up by placing a floor and a second ramp as seen here. At full speed, you will place this floor and ramp while jumping. Next, you will edit the back corner of the floor, place a cone directly above this ramp, and then you just repeat the process of an extended ramp, floor, ramp. You can do this as many times as you would like as you continue to build for height, and you can complete this move by just doing 90s or even combining it with the first retake we learned. Alright boys, there you have it, the ultimate intermediate guide to building in Fortnite. I am confident that if you put in the hours to study this video and learn these techniques, that you will be able to keep up and build fights with anyone you come up against. If this video helped you, please consider taking a second to like this video and subscribe to my channel. You guys have blown me away with your support after just my first month on YouTube, and I am so excited to keep putting out more and more content for you. If there are any specific topics that you would like me to cover in a future video, let me know in the comments. And until next time, keep on grinding, boys.